Thank you very much, Warren. And Warren, absolute privilege to be here, part of the Hivemind group. Love it. And welcome to the people that I know and people that I don't know. And I want to have some fun with this 10 minutes and the rest of the time that follows. I put this together. It's something I've never done before. I just hope that it's as exciting as I think it will be. And I'm going to get you, as we go through the 10 minutes, to play the role of a TV pundit. So we're going to watch a little bit of footage from a game that I was involved in, and I want to get some observations from you at halftime. And that's sort of the essence of what we're going to do, to try and keep it on track, and to try and keep it in line with the article that I put out there. It's really about complexity. You know, if you're in an environment that's uncertain, as we all are, whatever business we're in, then what's your approach to that? And Warren, I think you stole a little bit of thunder in some regards, where who do you lean on to help you make your way through or navigate that uncertainty? Then it's self-awareness. You know, the belief that I have is that the deeper that we understand ourselves, the closer we get to our potential. And then the differences that we've all got. So in a group, here's a group of Hivemind, there's a group of people, a collective who've come together this afternoon to share some ideas, have a bit of maybe robust debate. That as a group, people could be looking at us and going, well, there's a like-minded group. There's lots about that group that's similar. There's lots of entrepreneurs, there's lots of independent business owners, lots of leaders in there. And that's true. But it's also, if we separate us and we isolate ourselves and we're working independently, then the differences start to become far greater than they are as a collective. Then we're going to talk about motivation, which is a little bit about what we're moving towards. Obviously, in football, you're trying to score goals. In business, you're trying to make some profit, or what we're moving away from, what sort of maybe scares us a little bit, and all that wrapped into performance. So with that in mind, I'm going to invite you to a match day experience with me now, and a little bit of context. So this is my team. It's about 6 years ago. Central Coast Mariners. My team's playing in yellow. They're a young team. We were trying to find our way in the big league. We're on a tough run. So expectations were pretty low of everybody, media, fans. It's always hope. Can they? We're playing against Melbourne Victory, the champions, team full of international footballers. And we were working really hard. And we had a vision. I had a vision. I am an optimist. I guess a visionary. It sounds grandiose, but I think about what's possible, and I try and get people, sometimes with great difficulty, to see what I can see. So that's the backdrop. I'm going to play you. It's a very short video. We're going to look at the first half, and then we're going to go into the studio and get some halftime comments from what looks like a fantastic group of pundits.
Feel like it, just the second ever A-League game to be held in Geelong. Most of the support will be for the visitors, Melbourne Victory. Josh Bingham loitering towards the back post. Oh, and there is the opening goal for the Central Coast. Harry Ashcroft standing tallest of all inside the penalty box. Nobody picked him up. 1-0 Mariners. Victory on the back foot again. Ferreira threads it through, and Josh Bingham scores, and it's 2 for the Central Coast. On his first start for the Mariners, he has his second A-League strike. And the Victory fans here in Geelong can't believe this. Ferreira, lovely touch by Fabio Ferreira to pick out Josh Bingham, threads it through, and Mitch Austin is one-on-one here. It's Mitch Austin for 3, and there it is! Central Coast Mariners from one end of the park to the other. Absolute gold by the team in yellow. Mitch Austin, 3-0.
So it's half time, not quite, but half an hour in, we've gone 3 goals up. And what I'd like to get from the group is invite the group. There's no pressure. I'm not going to call anybody out. I'm not going to say, right, who's going to be Roy Keane, who's going to be Gary Neville. I don't even mind if someone wants to be Jamie Carragher. But I just want to get your observations on what you've seen so far. And I'm not asking you to be a football analyst. just what was that experience for you as a neutral pundit watching that game? Who would like to make a comment? What have you seen? What did you like? What didn't you like? Let's start with that.
I'll venture something. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it, Shelley.
I noticed that they were together as a team after the celebration of the first goal. Everyone got involved, and they looked very hungry. The front runners were right on the edge, watching for the offside, but really pushing it.
Yeah, thank you, James.
Yeah, my short comment was it looked like 3 great goals to me. Well taken, well finished.
I thought it looked quite good attacking the Yellows, mate. I think that's your team. I'm not sure, but I know what I'd be saying at half time.
What would that be?
I would be like, don't be complacent. Make sure you get the job done, because just because you're aware that you're winning, don't let your guard down.
Yeah.
Because if you let your guard down, then you'll be playing on the back foot. 1 can lead to 2, can lead to 3. That's what I would say anyway.
Thank you. All right, brilliant. Thank you for that analysis. And I can tell you a couple of things that may be worth sharing. One is that this was, for me, this was potential. It was the embodiment of all the potential that we believed this team had was played out in front of us in half a game of football. So everything we weren't expecting that level at that time against that team, even us as a management team. And that's fantastic. 3-0, scintillating, lots of pace, lots of power. So potential realized, it was played out in front of us, which was fantastic. Now, of course, we're emotionally attached to this at the time. Now, with distance, we can reflect a little bit differently. And you guys, as neutral observers, are emotionally detached from it and able to make articulate, clear comments. If you think before the game, with that in mind, there's a sense that there's really nothing to lose. You analyze the opposition, you know what their strengths are, you know where the threats are going to come from, and you look at the opportunities to possibly to use your strengths against them. But you go into the change room on this day at that time, and common sense says manage the game. Common sense says keep the ball moving, do the simple things, back to basics. All the things that you have shared would be the natural way to go. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into the second half.
Bozanic, that's a better ball. Barbarouses, chance here. That's a penalty, says Peter Green. Ashcroft the offender. And Victory perhaps have a lifeline. At least. It's Besart Berisha. And it's 3-1. The Albanian rarely misses from the spot, and they've begun the journey, Melbourne Victory. As well as he possibly could. Quickly taken throw, Berisha onto the chest of Barbarouses! Oh, that was glorious! Thompson on the follow-up! 3-2! Now we've got a real game on our hands! Victory right back in it! Barbarouses is set piece, there's 2 free here, Georgievski must be in, surely! How did it stay out? Still alive for Broxham, and turned over at the last possible moment by Jake McGing. How on earth did the Mariners survive that?
I have no words. It's simply inexplicable. And Victory have had their chances to get level.
They still might. Hazy floats it towards Barbarouses and Berisha! Breathtaking! Simply breathtaking! 3-3 in stoppage time, and the comeback is complete. What a story!
So there it was, the classic game of 2 halves. And what we'll do in a minute, we'll obviously open the post-match interviews and get the conversation flowing. But I wanted to talk about this thing that we tend to do in whatever we're doing, whatever role we're playing. We observe our intention is to do something. In business, we've got a sales call to make, we've got a marketing presentation to make, and we plan for that, and things either work out the way we wanted them to, or they didn't. And the people that we are interacting with are we're looking for signs that they get what it is that we want them to get. So in a football context, you've got myself emotionally attached to it on the sideline, watching the same things that you've just seen from a distance. And what's important to recognize is we can only see what they're doing. We're only seeing the surface level stuff, the behavior. The team is playing, you know, and if you think about marginal gains, if you think about a game of inches, that first goal that led to the penalty, they were pretty well structured, pretty well organized, but it didn't happen. So we observe what they're doing, and we see this complex, dynamic thing taking shape in front of us, but we've got to get in closer. We've got to zoom in closer if we want to influence this differently. So when we watch that, we can make assumptions about how they're feeling, because we've got a team. We're looking at a team that was riding high and then almost totally collapsed against the weight of demands. The demands of the game were exactly the same at halftime as they were at the beginning, as they were in the next game, as they are in the game after. Same size pitch, same rules, different opponent, but the demands of the game are always constant. So if you're selling something, if you're marketing something, the demands of your game are fixed by the people who are putting the demand on you to deliver some value. So nothing changed, same group of players. If anything, you're thinking, well, would you prefer to start a game at 3-0 ahead or 0-0? You got a better chance of winning at 3-0 ahead? It's an interesting psychological thing that's going on, but we don't know what they're feeling. We don't know what they're thinking, and we don't know what they want. We don't know what they're afraid of as individuals if we're not close enough to it to know. And without knowing that, then it's very difficult to influence people in the way they want. So as the pressure increases, and the pressure didn't increase in the context of the demands of the game, but in here, the pressure increased for individuals at different levels. And as that pressure increases, the automatic sort of biological responses, the things that have kept us alive for thousands of years, they kick in. And when that happens, unless you're on top of it, it's hard to keep a clear head. So the ability to emotionally detach from that, and as a manager, as an individual who's trying to influence a situation, that I'm emotional, I want to sell something desperately, I want this presentation to go well, then the ability to step back from how that feels, whether it's an anxiety, whether it's a confidence, whether it's excitement, the ability to recognize it, accept it, and use it to your advantage is essential. So the question I'm going to ask of the group, and something to think about as we open the conversation, is where does your pressure come from? You know, is it home? Is it demand? Is it external? Is it inside yourself? And when your opponents are kicking goals, so you're competing with another business for business, and somebody's getting ahead, what do? Where do you go for insight? How do you know that your approach is the right approach, given that somebody else seems to be doing it differently and doing it well? What keeps you doing what you're doing? Interested in that. And the beauty of Hivemind is it solves a problem that many people don't recognize. As we build businesses in our own identity, as we build these avatars that we think are going to buy us, we think that they're, you know, the avatars of this group identity and there's a commonality about, like the football, like the yellow, like my team there's a commonality. That's the group that we're looking at. We've got to hone into that avatar, and if the closer we get to the individual differences of those people that we're approaching, then the more influence that we're going to have. And that starts with you always. That starts with me as a business owner, as a football manager, that responsibility to find that understanding, to zoom in on the what sort of a blurred group to start with. The closer we hone in on it, the more clarity we get about the individuals and the nuances that we can approach. It's not easy. If you're the type of person who in general life has strong opinions and thinks that your way is the best way lots of the time, it's fantastic. And I know lots of people like that. I work with lots of people like that. But it's about having enough awareness to understand when the blind spots kick in, and whether that's how much of a disadvantage that is against what it is that you're trying to do. So that game is a treasured memory for me. So many feelings attached to it. I had the potential being played out in front of me. I had the recognition, the recognition of what fear can do. You know, when the fear of losing is greater than the pursuit of victory, then it's difficult for people to come to terms with that. In the moment, you get scrambled thinking. It was brilliant. It summed up a really great learning opportunity for me, first and foremost. So I'm grateful to have been able to share that with you today.
Well, what's interesting, Tony, with all of that is that most of us don't have to perform under an audience of 50,000 people and then the media scrutiny afterwards. You know, with people like Jamie Carragher in the studio, or whatever. We don't have to. You know, we have our kind of client relationships, and that's kind of it. So I'm always fascinated by the kind of pressure as a manager, let alone the team on the pitch. You as a manager, ultimately the buck stops with you, right? And so I'm interested in questions from the group and how we can get a bit more understanding. So anybody's got an insight, an experience, a question, a contribution, do the whole hand raising and we'll bring you up. And thanks, Shelley, for being the first up. Before I bring Shelley up, though, I just wanted to share a quick experience of a speaker I once shared the stage with, who was a European golf tour golfer. And he was making similar points around the psychology of performance in golf versus business. And one of the points he made, which I found really fascinating, was that even though he was essentially a top draw golfer, playing off zero, qualifying for the European Tour and for various competitions, he was still distinctly average when it came to either didn't make the cut in competition, or if he did make the cut, he lost his nerve in the kind of final stages and didn't necessarily rank. And he was saying that the difference between real elite people and those who are just, professional and perform at a certain level is all mindset. Their ability to hold their nerve in those moments is the thing that really differentiates. I wondered what your take was on that and whether that was your experience.
I think it is that ability to, if you understand that if you can conquer that anxiety, that apprehension, or if the apprehension is not useful to you, it can be used. There's this thing called eustress, where you've got too much stress, you get overwhelmed, too little stress, you just can't be bothered. You get that balance right. That's what you're looking for. It's called eustress, and it's when you can put your apprehension and fears behind you to help push you forward. So you've got your goals that you're aiming at. The challenge, you're confronted by the challenge, and what are you going to do? You're going to stare it down and go for it, or are you going to start getting a bit jittery? I think it's absolutely right. Now, when you've got the sum of the group collect, so in a group environment, in a team environment, to do that you can often lean on each other in moments of uncertainty. So if I'm a young player stepping into a professional environment for the first time, you're looking for senior people around you to help you get over some of those challenges. But there's the game sets the demand, and it's the same in business, that if the demand is fixed, it doesn't matter how experienced you are, it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how talented you are. If you can't make an independent decision under pressure to get the outcome that you want, then you don't meet the mark. And in sport, that happens second by second, minute by minute. So you're asked, you've got to be able to cope with that at a relentless pace. And same with business leaders that I'm in, who are, the external demands are really high. They need to be able to conquer all of the doubt that goes with whether they can or can't stand up in the face of that demand.